All right, we are live. Welcome to the YouTube live here. We're going to go over many alts. I think we got 15 to go over. I added a couple new ones in our list as well, including Neo, Ravencoin, which is RVN, ONT, and I believe that is it. Also Litecoin, but obviously everyone knows that one. So we went over BTC this morning. We already made a BTC overview and an analysis. Basically, we're looking bullish. We're looking for longs within the market. So that's going to be our sentiment, and that's going to be the way we're going to basically go navigate in the market from this point onwards. We did add a little feeler trade to XRP. We're really looking for that pullback, validating the previous resistance as a new level of support. And then we're looking to enter definitely the majority of our position once we've validated this key area as a new level of support. But it's good to have a little bit of a position in. So I have some I guess emotion in the trade in some sense, and I'm focused and I know exactly what's happening. I have another monitor there showing me exactly what is going on. So first off, what I kind of categorized it as is this top left section is going to be the main pairs. So these are going to be the most liquid, the most well known. You got things like Ethereum, Link, Dash, EOS, Binance Coin, XRP, Litecoin. Yeah, theoretically definitely could be in there as well, but I just threw it in there because it has less volume than what you can see within the charts. Dash has not a ton of volume, but the rest of these charts have a significant amount of volume compared to the rest of the coins we trade, except for Bitcoin. And then to take one down, still on the left side, we have Cardano, Ethereum Classic, Litecoin, Stellar Lumens, Zcash, and Atom or Cosmos. And then the bottom right-hand side is the less well-known coins, which is ONT, MATIC, VeChain, VET, Ravencoin, RVN, and Neo. So we'll be going over them one by one. We'll start off with the larger cap pairs first because obviously they're more well known and we kind of like to use those to play with the sympathy play with BTC, whereas the smaller alts like potentially VET, RVN, MATIC, ONT, and Atom, they can have a little bit less correlation with BTC, which allows us to potentially enter them while not having a direct trade linked with Bitcoin. Like for example, if you're trading Litecoin, it's going to be very similar to BTC, or Ethereum will have a very similar price action, direction, and momentum to BTC. It'll most likely be creating its impulse and corrective waves in similar with BTC as well as the overall structure of the market as well. But if you're looking at smaller coins within the market that allow you to have a less correlated asset to trade, then you'll have different opportunities that you are able to enter, and that's always a good thing. So gonna get some coffee, and then let's start our analysis starting from the top left. So the first one we're going to go over is Ethereum. We've already went over BTC on another video, so if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. So we broke out of this zone. I didn't love this wick here because it would have been a very nice breakout at the 1 hour chart. Actually, what we'll do is we'll always go back to the weekly chart before even breaking down what's happened on the smaller time frame. We always like to go to the weekly chart to really understand the macro view of any price action pattern or even chart really. It's always good to go from the top down approach. So we got our nice key zone of support and resistance. I'm just going to draw a mid-range zone, which is going to be right here, which is where we really started to blast off from. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I got to hit that key first. And then we got our resistance zone, which is going to be right around here. So we got our nice mid-range zone that we're approaching. We got our supply zone and we got a demand zone. Now let's bring it to the 1 hour chart. We really see a strong push from the buyers after a bit of consolidation on the daily. We see very strong buyers come in. Volume accumulation significantly showing within the volume. We see not a lot of sell pressure within the market compared to the tremendous amount of buy pressure in the market. Overall, looks very bullish. We had a good consolidation. Now, ideally, we did get a push to the upside, breaking the previous resistance. Now, a pullback would be really good to see within this market, validating the previous resistance, which is going to be right around here. I'll even incorporate the top of the wick there to the bottom kind of where we see that hesitation before the strong push to the upside. If we do get a pullback validating this zone as a nice new level of support, that would be a pretty good opportunity for us to enter along. Once we have a validation of at least 2 injections of buy volume coming into the market, then we have validation that yes, there are buyers in this market, and we also have a nice level of confluence here that we could use as an ascending trend line. So it looks pretty good on Ethereum. We're just going to continue with the trend, but we do have to understand that there is a major mid-range zone of supply. Looking back at the 12-hour and even daily chart, we can see that it's a key zone, especially looking at the daily chart here. Let's just talk about flow a little bit. Let's just make it a little bit better like so. So we are approaching our mid-range zone that we see on Ethereum, which is going to be around the $300 range, give or take $5, let's say. It was first a major rejection point at this point here, basically in the midway of 2019 that we saw BTC bounce from 14K basically all the way back down to almost 6K. Same type of structure here, where we got a solid move up for the first half of 2019, and then we got a solid move right back down. We don't exactly see a double bottom because this low is lower than this low, which is kind of a good thing because we're making higher lows, which is good. We are now making a potentially higher high at this point because this was a high. This is a higher low compared to this. So overall, we're making a bullish move towards the upside, and we are looking for longs within the market. So looking at the smaller time frames now, we just have to make sure that we understand that this is a mid-range zone of resistance that we will potentially hit. If we are able to break past this zone, we will really have a lot of room before our next major resistance here, which is going to be around the $360, $70-ish range. That's going to be our next major zone of resistance. So we're approaching our mid-range zone. If we're able to break it, we'll definitely want to take some profits at this mid-range zone because our risk reward will be pretty significant. We'll be looking at least a 2.5, maybe 3 risk reward at this zone, and then if we're able to break above it, I think I'll try to hold on for the retest if it does correct a little bit, because this is looking like a very attractive move to the upside going from zone to zone. So that is the overall outlook for the larger time frames if we are able to get that pullback. But it looks like right now the market is doing all right. I'm just going to quickly take a look at what BTC is doing on the 1 hour. Not too bad. All right, so now let's talk about a potential pullback that we could see. Now, there is a little bit more sell volume within that consolidation, but once we did break, we see lots of buy volume coming into the market, more than the previous sell volume. That's volume accumulation. All we're looking for is a nice pullback validating this previous level of resistance, because we do see higher lows forming in the price right here, which is a good market structure for a bullish move. And we see horizontal zone of resistance, not letting a price go above a certain price line, which is going to be right around here. And then the price has to make a decision because it's squeezing into the apex of the pattern, which is right here. So then the price made a move to the upside, and now what we're looking for is the price to now validate this zone as a new level of support, and we want to see 2 injections of buy volume, ideally, meaning that we're going to get 2 bullish candles to come here, basically kind of forming a double top. That would be nice. Or if we see a large pin bar like so, that'd be also good. Or like a bullish engulfing candle, where this is like a bearish candle and we see a strong bullish engulfing candle. That would also be a good bullish indication that buyers are going to be present. We're looking for some sort of confirmation that there's buyers within the area. We already see the market structure is looking bullish because this is a higher high compared to this high, this high, this high. We're already making higher lows. This could be a nice higher low from this low, forming a higher low, and then we're going to look to take some profits on the first higher high with a risk reward of basically like 2.5, maybe 2.2 or 2.5 to 1 at the first key mid-range zone right here, and then we're going to look to see if we can break that zone. So we're not going to take a lot of profits off at that area, but if we are able to get that pullback and we enter, that will be the first potential level of a small take profit, maybe 25% at this zone here, or at this zone here. We'll see what the risk is depending on the risk reward, but that's the overall outlook for Ethereum. Not really going to get too much more into detail than that. Now for TRX, what we're going to do is just put a, where can I find it? I don't really use it, the brush, and then we're looking for a nice potential double bottom, and then we're looking for a little move to the upside, and then we'll put our go like this, go below previous low. It might be a little bit wider than we'd like, so we definitely have to take our profits at this high here. So that would give us a risk reward of around 2.4, 2.5, depending on where it is. So that's going to be the first level to take profit there. So that is how I'm going to structure the trade. I'd like to see a pullback validating this nice new level of support. If we get one level of pullback, I might enter a feeler position, which would be around 10, 20, 30% of the total capital going to be invested or traded in this particular trade. And then once we see that next level of validation, then okay, great, then I can actually enter the price. So not going to look to do much more on Ethereum, but what I will do really quickly is just go over on the other chart that I have on the other monitor, and then just put this in so I have a good, I know what's happening basically, is why I want to do this. So I'm just putting the Ethereum trade on my other monitor so I have a good understanding of what it's doing while I'm covering the other pairs within the market. So I got that right there. That's great. So now we'll move to the different pairs within the market. So TRX is next. I drew a little resistance zone, but we're just going to remove all the drawings and then start from scratch. Also, to the people who recently joined on the YouTube live, you can ask a question in the comments in the chat, and then I'll be able to help you out if you have any questions. We are a team of cryptocurrency traders in Canada. And we have a Discord that if you do trade, you'd probably find very interesting and would like to be a part of, because it's a great community of traders. And we talk about mainly cryptocurrency trading, but we do also discuss some Forex, stocks, sometimes commodities trading as well. So if you're interested in trading, it's a great place to be. Definitely a good crowd of individuals. So I just identified our major zones. We got a key level of supply, key level of demand, and we got a mid-range zone definitely identified in 2018 and 2019 with very strong rejections to the downside, and we retested it for support resistance after a major rejection down, and now we are testing this zone after we got a nice double bottom confirming this level of demand around 1224, and we're approaching our mid-range zone. So overall it does look like we are approaching a key structural area. We'll just see how the price action looks on these smaller time frames here. Going quickly to the daily chart, we just see a strong push to the upside, nothing crazy. And then let's look to see what we can identify on the 4-hour chart. We do see a nice zone right here, previous level of resistance, new level of support there. And then looking at the smaller time frames, let's see what we can identify on the 1-hour time frame. So we got a strong push to the SI, we got a correction back down, validating this zone as a support, and then we made a new high. I think we could be looking for a nice new low, but I don't really see anything I have an edge on within this market other than looking at key levels of supply and demand. I'd ideally like to see a descending zone create an area of confluence for me to enter at. Unfortunately, I don't really see that, so all I see is this little nice horizontal zone. I don't have a crazy amount of edge, just trading this nice pullback to re-enter on this new level of support, so I'm a little bit hesitant. I do have a nice descending or ascending zone here that I could potentially use once I zoom in. It could be a nice ascending trend line zone of confluence right here, so that is definitely more of an edge where I have, oh, that's definitely not in the right place. Let's just make this very, very accurate like we should and like we want. So that's our first anchor point, and then we put our trend line to the outer line of the pattern, and then what we do is we put our projection in, and then we cover the rest of the zone that needs to be covered, kind of capturing the areas within the chart that the wicks have outlined. So that is how we draw our nice ascending trend line, and then we broke out of it. We've tested this resistance 1, 2, 3 times, so we can say it's a potentially dependable zone. Once we pull back and validate this zone for a nice new level of support, potentially seeing a nice little double bottom, then we can look to really enter. That would be ideal, retesting a previous level of resistance as a new level of support, something along the lines of that, something that is going to validate us entering in the market. So and then we just put our stop loss below the previous low. We'd have to take profit probably maybe 3 would be a little bit too much, maybe 2.5, maybe 2, 2.2. That would be the good first level of take profit, because we don't want to get too greedy right at the first level. We'd only really take 25-ish% off, and then once we're able to capture more profit, then obviously we will want to move our stop loss up and provide a risk-free trade and gain exposure to more upside potential. But for now, that is the overall outlook for TRX. Looking very similar, looking very similar to Ethereum, which is great to see. We have a couple options here. Looking at the volume, there is that big sell pressure that occurred right here, but overall, within that consolidation, we do see more buy volume coming into the market with not much sell volume on the way down, which is good to see, especially on this pullback breaking the previous highs. We don't see a whole lot of sell volume coming down, giving us volume accumulation within that breakout pullback formation, which is really which is kind of what we want within a breakout. So that is good for TRX. Not going to get more into it on this pair. We have next key zones of supply at the 0.3796 to the 0.3926 area. So we got a lot of room to climb if we are able to break this zone of mid-range supply. Like, yeah, crazy ranges. So we'll see how this goes. We'll be looking to enter if it does present an opportunity to us, but right now we are not going to be looking for an entry at this point. What I will do is actually change my BNB into TRX, because I was looking at BNB, but I think TRX looks a little bit more appealing for a possible entry long, because we have a nice easy horizontal zone that we have respected, and if we are able to pull back and validate this nice zone of confluence that we have for the support as a key level of support yet again, just to validate that zone, then I think it will have a pretty high probability opportunity to make a move towards the upside. We'll capture different alts within the market, so we have different opportunities to gain exposure to different pushes, because not every alt will have a strong push towards the upside. Sometimes just one or two alts can have very strong pushes towards the upside, and we don't get a strong push in any other alts. So we want to ensure that we're hopefully entering on a couple that we can get potential strong moves towards the upside, like we've seen on TRX, like we've seen on Link. Those are some of the pairs that we really entered, and we got 6, 5, 7 risk rewards, which is phenomenal. So that's what we're looking for, and ideally that's what we're hopefully entering in. So Link looks very similar, actually. What we're looking for is a pullback as well. We saw a descending zone hold the price, making lower lows, and then we saw the breakout at around 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning my time, so that's like West Coast Canada. And then we saw a push to the upside, and now it looks like we could be pulling back. This is also a trade that I'm seeing appear on my monitor as well. But basically, similar structure. We're looking for a pullback. Let's just go back to the weekly and daily and identify our major zones. We have broken the high of the candle closures on the daily and weekly, which is very significant. So Link is very bullish. I am looking for longs on Link, basically. So even on the daily, we can see right here, it broke the previous resistance candle closure, which is a significant area that we need to consider, because candle closures are very significant on a chart. And then look to the present moment, we've retested it and validated it as a nice new level of support, seeing a wick to the downside, pushing the price back up, not above the open of the candle, but still enough that it validates that nice new strong level of support. And then we got a bullish engulfing candle, seeing that very strong bullish pressure to the upside. We still got 5 hours and 18 minutes on this daily candle to close. But overall, we are seeing the buy volume increase more than the sell volume. We still got 5 hours left, so this candle is only going to see the increase higher than the sell pressure, but it's looking really good. So we're looking for longs within this market on Link as well, because we just previously broke this key zone, and on the 4 hour we can see we validated as a nice new level of support. We don't really need this ascending trend line here, so I'm just going to delete it, and we'll talk about very simple market structure that we're able to identify. So this is that key zone that we're looking at, this horizontal white lines here. This is the key structure. There's going to be a lot of supply at, or a lot of sell pressure, a lot of bears, because it was a previous market structure close all-time high. So we can see right here a lot of sell pressure, keeping the price down, and then we got an explosion of buy pressure, which I'm sure there's a lot of sellers at this point in time entering at all these zones here. So once the price broke the high, which is going to be, I'm just going to close all this, which is going to be right here, there's going to be sellers that are going to be getting out of the position, which means they have to buy into the market, plus all the people who are long, plus all the people who are FOMO, all entering here, making a large shift in trend, and then seeing that price increase up towards the new high there. So that's what we saw. And then also just talking about market structure, this is a high, this is a low, this is a higher high, this is a higher low, this is a higher high, this is a higher low. What we'd ideally like to see is a nice pullback validating this previous resistance as a nice new level of support. And then we get a descending zone with a push, first impulse push, and then a pullback with the first pullback validating the previous resistance as a new level of support. That's a great probability to move towards the upside again, as well as seeing the strong bullish accumulation volume that we've been seeing lately with Link. We see, yes, there is some sell pressure. We see that right here. We see that right here. We see that right here. But overall, strong bullish volume, strong bullish volume, strong bullish volume. We're seeing a strong buy volume, pushing the price up, seeing as well the higher highs and higher lows within the market. I'm definitely looking to long, but overall, that's the outlook that I'm going to have. Previous level of resistance, new level of support at around, let's look here, 4.12-ish dollars, 4.16. 4.1, somewhere around there. That's going to be the new level of support that I'm going to be looking at. So now let's take it to the 1 hour chart to discuss what we've seen. So this is that ascending trend line that it did draw in. Just in case the price does dip a little bit, we have a nice little area of support that we have been holding for around 3 touches here that do give it a level of dependence. Let's just see. I think we could potentially even put it here. Let's just see if that works. Yep, that does work. So we're going to put that like so, because it does provide a little bit higher of a support. And then we're going to put our projection away from it because the outline is within the closer to the price action squeeze there. So we got our nice pattern. We got to squeeze out. And now what we're looking for is a pullback validation that there's going to be buyers within the market, similar to a lot of the current pairs that we have. So the price squeezed in, the price was making lower highs, these are lower highs, and then the price was making higher lows. This is a high, this is a low, this is a higher low, this is a higher low, this is a higher low, and then we saw the price still hold that previous higher low here, and then we saw the price make higher lows, continuing to squeeze, and then we got a squeeze in the market. The price has to make a decision, and the price chose to make an upside. Nice little pullback validating the previous resistance right here as a nice new level of support. Let's just erase all this. So within that breakout, we got a previous resistance here, validate for a nice new level of support. Also, that descending zone is also going to create a nice new level of support, creating a double confirmation right at this zone, creating a level where there's going to be a higher probability that there's going to be buyer pressure within that area. So then we broke out expectingly to the upside. And then we broke this previous level of resistance, which is a significant shift in trend. And we also see more than 4 candles above this zone. So we know on the 4 hour, it is closing above the previous high, which is also very significant. And we see a tremendous amount of buy volume coming to the market, which is also very significant. So we see a lot of indications that we have a continuation towards the upside that we could potentially have. So we're wanting to enter once we see this previous level of resistance right here. This is a previous key level of resistance on the chart. Once we see that it's validated as a new level of support, then we can look to enter in the market. But we're not just looking for an initial entry at this price and it doesn't matter what happens. We're looking for validation that there's buy pressure within the market. So what are we looking for? We're looking for potential double bottoms if it breaks the previous resistance, especially if it holds it as a nice new level of support. Then we can really look to enter. That would be ideal. That's a possibility number one. Possibility number one is we consolidate here for a little bit, and then we see a little red candle, and then we see a very large bullish candle up here. That would be indication number 2. That would be a bullish engulfing candle. That would be the next indication that there could be buy pressure within the market. Another one could be a very significant pin bar or pin bars, where there's multiple pin bars touching a key zone, like for example here or here, or even if the pin bar touches here or here, with the candle closure at the key's previous resistance right here, which is going to be a new level of support. That could also be an indication that there's a lot of buy pressure within the market. There's a lot of things that could potentially create an indication, but that's the types of things we're looking for to enter the market at this zone around here. Once we see that indication, that we're looking to enter, but until that, we're going to be very patient and stick with our guns. So that is Link. We're already looking at TRX. Ethereum hasn't really done much either. Just making sure we're not on replays, because sometimes I tend to do that. Dash is the next one. Dash is a little less clear. I don't love the look of the current price action, this massive rejection to the downside. We do see a nice level of support, but let's just talk about the weekly and work our way down like we always do. So this is obviously our major supply zone. That is going to be our key level of resistance. We do see a nice mid-range zone that we're basically under right now. And we also see a nice level of support there that we held as a resistance with that massive wick towards the upside. So we got a nice key zone here right below a mid-range zone like a lot of our alts that we are working with right now. I'm not really going to go dive in too deep. We see that the price initially had a massive move to the upside, and we consolidated, held a nice double bottom level of support, previous level of resistance right here and here. So it has been making higher highs and higher lows, which is good. We do see more volume coming in than sell volume, which is volume accumulation, which is also indications that there's going to be buy pressure within the market. The major thing that I want to see is to see if the price is able to break this zone right here. So what I'll even do is I already know that this is a major zone within the price action. I don't need to indicate that within horizontal zones. So what I'm going to do is put a horizontal rectangle right there, and then this is the key zone that I want to see the price break before we look to enter. And then also I'm going to put an ascending trend line connecting the lower highs. We can see that right here with the anchor point right at that major zone. I think I might put that anchor point right here depending on how the price action looks. Nope, I think that's a perfect anchor point. So I will put that trend line right there, and then I'll also put a projection zone connecting the low. Oh, I did not click that mouse. That did not work out as planned. That's a pretty good area. And then I'll just put that projection. There we go. And project it out to the downside. So then we have our nice area of support. And then we have a nice area of supply. So we're just squeezing closer to the apex of the price action pattern, which is going to be right here. Looking pretty good. I'm a little less bullish. Not bullish, but I feel like I have more of an edge trading, for example, Link, TRX, or Ethereum, whereas I have a little bit less of an edge on Dash. I don't know why, it's just the overall structure of the price action. Link looks good because I like descending zones that squeeze and push out and pull back. I like that a lot. TRX looks pretty good because we are above a very well structured resistance. And Ethereum looks good as well, but Dash is a good possibility, but I'm not loving that as much as the three other pairs that we covered within the video. So next one is going to be EOS, and then like always start on the weekly chart and then work our way back. Definitely taking a little longer than expected. BNB is doing pretty good. XRP is doing pretty good. Got 9 minutes till the 1 hour closes. Really not wanting to go on the weekly chart here. All right, I might skip EOS for now because it's not wanting to particularly go on a different time frame. All right, well, hopefully, there we go. Okay, we'll just skip EOS. It's okay. We have other alts that we're looking at. So BNB has been making monster moves towards the upside, breaking resistances, holding supports. The most recent major resistance that we broke was this one right here. We can see it's a very strong zone in the chart. That's around $23, $24, I'd say, is the low of the new level of support. So we got a support at $24. The next level of resistance, I think we'll be able to find a mid-range zone somewhere around here, but I'm just going to indicate the ones I can see on the weekly, which is right here, and it's going to be right here. But I think we can identify a mid-range zone right here. It's a little bit difficult with that little bottom there, so we'll go on the daily to now discuss a little bit more in detail of why we're looking at a key zone, which is probably going to be right here. And we also have a mid-range zone right here, so a lot of zones. I think I'm going to potentially take that one away and just have one line just to make it look a little bit cleaner, because having two lines makes it a little bit too messy. So I think that's what I'm going to do for now. So we got a couple mid-range zones there that we're going to go and try to test on the way up. Let's look at what we're able to identify on the 4 hour. We've been making nice clear higher highs, which is good to, or higher lows, which is good to see. We made a lower high, but we've been making higher lows this whole time. The volume is not particularly strong, but we've been seeing the price kind of stall and then just make a massive push to the upside with BNB. So I'm not going to be too surprised if it does push higher up, but not really seeing a nice clear pattern. We do see some nice higher lows that we could connect for a level of support like so. So that's a good situation for us to find ourselves in. And then I'll put a projection zone. We can even probably connect it. No, I'm going to leave the anchor point at this point right here. We can also find another descending zone that I can find right here, which is also a potential area for a level of support. So I will just leave those right there. Not really going to put projections on them because it'll just look a little bit too messy. And then also on the hour chart, what I did notice last time was this nice descending trend line that connected the lower highs right around here. And then we broke above it. And I'm just going to put it in red. And then this one I'll put a projection zone in. And then we'll just put the anchor point and then a projection zone, just kind of making it a little bit more of a key zone that we look like we're breaking. And then now we're approaching the recent high. It would have been really nice to get a potential high that was right here. If we were able to keep that high, that would have been really, really nice, but unfortunately we were not. So if we are looking for a pullback, this is the potential area we are looking for a pullback. Obviously, we are right below a major mid-range zone, so we do have to keep that in mind, but overall we are looking for pullbacks around this zone. This price action pattern I don't love as much because with Ethereum, very, very clear, easy to understand zone. TRX, same thing, clear, easy to understand zone. Link, same thing, easy, clear to understand zone. Dash, a little bit challenging. EOS is not even really doing anything at this point. And BNB is a little bit more challenging. So I'm basically picking the easiest coin to trade and trading that particular coin, because why make it more challenging for yourself? Why only trade one asset? Like for people that are only trading just Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency market, if you're looking for liquidity, that it totally makes sense. But with Binance, there's, in my opinion, enough liquidity to trade sufficient amounts of capital. But that's the overall analysis for BNB. And then now let's go to XRP. I did put a small feeler position in, but we'll still go over the weekly and daily charts. So just got some coffee here. So let's first go over the daily. Just wondering why I have the 12-hour. All these highlighted. I don't really trade the 3-hour or anything. Okay, so now I will just go like this. So let's talk about market structure without any of the stuff here, why we entered long at this point. So this is a key zone of a resistance that we passed right here, previous level right here, and look how well it's respected as a support. So now this area around the 30-cent range is going to be a very, very significant zone for a level of support. The next key area is, going to be all the way up here. We can see all the way up here. So we got, for me, enough space that I'm willing to risk that level, that I'm happy with it. So let's now look on the chart here. So we got our first zone, which is right here that we broke. We put it up a little bit higher, we can see, which we still broke that zone. And then our next zone of resistance is going to be up there. So we can see on the 4-hour that now we're above this zone. So we're broken above it. We still have an hour left on the 4-hour, but on the hour we are basically 3 minutes until we've closed. So this significant break in the resistance has a potential shift in trend about to occur. We got our first level to take profit at the first major key zone of sensitivity, which is around a 2 risk reward. We're going to take not a whole lot off, around 25%, and then we're going to go up and test our next level of supply, which is now a significant risk reward of around 5 to 1. So not completely entered yet. I have a feeler trade, going to add more once we see that validation of a new level of support. But until then, I'm going to stay patient and wait to add more to this position, although it's looking pretty good so far. So that's XRP. We are now done with that top left-hand side of the chart. So Ethereum, I also like. I'm going to put this over here. TRX, I also really like. I'm going to put this over here. Link, I also really like. I'm going to put this over here. And then BNB, not so much. EOS, not so much. Actually, EOS is non-existent. And then Dash is still all right, better than BNB. I don't really love BNB too much. So then I always like to put my favorite coins, or the coins that I am looking at most, towards the middle of the screen. So for example, if I like VTE or VET, I put it closer towards the middle of the screen. And then BTC is still looking pretty good. We see a nice little pump coming in. So we're looking for longs at this point in time. We do have a nice little entry on XRP. Although if the price just continues to go towards the upside, obviously we're not getting an entry. So We are looking potentially for holds of support. TRX did get a little hold. Let's just look on here. TRX did get a little hold of support and an injection of buy volume for the first time from the bulls. We see that injection of buy volume right here. We're not seeing a lot of buy volume coming into the market, but we do see a small hold within the 1 hour chart. I'd ideally like to see the price come a little bit further back towards the 2589 zone. BNB obviously not going to talk about. TRX, we just talked about. Link still looks like I could see a little pullback. So even at the highest point, so even if we pulled back to just the wick, it's not there yet. So I just would like to reduce my risk a little bit more, because let's say I entered there, I'm reducing. So let's say my stop loss is going to be below the at least the high right here. So my stop loss is going to be below here. I'd be basically taking my risk from 6.3 to, at least 3. So 3.1 or 3.2. So I'm basically cutting it in half. So for me, that's worth waiting for, because there's other opportunities within the market that I think we could potentially find. Ethereum still needs to pull back. Looking at it in an opportunity, kind of way, and XRP still obviously needs to close on the 1 hour. So it's looking good that the close of the 1 hour is approaching. Still 40 seconds left, but we'll see how the next couple candles go. So we'll just cover the next set of alts here. We'll start from Cardano and then work right. So starting from the daily, let's just go to the weekly here, taking it all the way back. So we got our first nice level of resistance. Very, very easy to identify this zone right here. And then we got our major level of support, which is probably just going to be right here. And then we probably got a mid-range zone, which is going to be right around here. So we got a nice level, easy to understand chart. And let's just see how that mid-range zone is looking on the daily. So we could put our mid-range zone a little bit lower, in my opinion. So around there. So we've clearly broken that mid-range zone. Great to see. And the 1 hour just closed. So now we are starting a new candle. Just looking at the other monitor here. Really quickly looking at how the next candle is taking for the buyers and sellers in the market. So we've broken out of the resistance here. We really haven't tested for a nice new level of support. We did a little bit. We did see a very strong doji wick that touched that support there. So that is our first indication that there's lots of buyers in the market. We do see a nice consolidation and a bullish, really strong bullish candle we see on the 4 hour chart. We still got around 25 or just an hour, basically under an hour until we close it. But we do see that this zone right here was the bullish engulfing, or the bullish the bullish flag, sorry. Let's make that red. And then we've retested for a nice new level of support there. And then we broke out of the resistance and then formed a new high. We can see that right here as well. And then we retested that new high, and then now we're making a move towards the upside. And then let's just create, could have been a wedge, could have been a channel, but that's the zone I'm drawing in right there. So we got a nice level of support that was holding. We can also create a resistance and support kind of channel like so, with a nice descending resistance forming lower high, squeezing the price towards the apex of the pattern. And then we got a first little touch here. It would have been nice to see that price hold the descending zone and then fail this support and then come to this support. That would have been a better opportunity, because it would have been a better option for us to see that descending zone test multiple times, but fortunately, it did not happen. We got to push to the upside. So let's just talk about market flow on the 1 hour chart, talking about bringing in both the macro and micro. So on the macro view, we got lots of buyers here. We know that this is a very strong demand zone that we've seen sellers keep the price down for a very long time. We know that previous level of resistance equals new level of support. So there's going to be a lot of buyers here. Even we can see that right here indicated with the big major wick to the downside, seeing that buy pressure push that price right back up and then keep the price there after that point. So we know that there's lots of buy pressure within the market. And then once we saw the descending zone, there's a squeeze within the market where the price had to make a decision, because we were getting squeezed from the sellers and buyers, and the price made a choice to move towards the upside. The price initially pushed above this zone, above this descending zone, and could not form a higher high. It held this resistance, which is good. It's fine because we're above the zone. And then we held initially 2 candles holding above this level of support. There were type 2 candle closures right at the zone, signifying that there is buy pressure within the market, but it's a squeeze in price. It's a really strong fight between the bears and bulls. And what did we see after that point? This was an initial bearish injection of buy pressure, but the sellers still said no, it's not enough. We are still trying to fight keeping the pressure below a certain zone, and then this candle right here signified the completion and the win for the bulls of the fight, and they completed the fight right here. This is the indication that they gained back the confidence, and the bears won. The bears lost, the bulls won, and then the candle closure was above the previous high, so the market made a new high. So then we were looking for that nice higher low, because this was a higher high from the previous high here, and from the previous high here, and from the previous high here. We made a nice fresh higher high, indicating the market structure is now bullish. We made a higher low, which is going to be right here, and then now we made our next move towards the upside. So definitely looking for longs within this market. If we do not get a pullback to validate this zone for a nice new level of support for the second time. So this is our first injection of buy volume after breaking this resistance and holding for a new support. If we get a second injection of buy volume, that would be a pretty good opportunity for us, but at this point in time, I don't really want to be entering here. We do have to keep in mind that there is a resistance at this point, but we do have a very strong level of support. These are major zones of demand. Let's just indicate that in green, so we know that there is a lot of buy pressure within the market. So that's going to be our major structural support, and then we have a nice descending zone that freshly got broken out. We're now making higher highs and higher lows, holding supports, breaking resistances. It'd be nice to see a nice little dip below to around this zone, but I think at this point we already have nice alts that we could be looking at for potential longs if we do see a dip. So this could be a potential add-on if we see it break the previous high, which is around 7168, sorry. So if we see the price break above this zone and retest and then push up further, that would be great. That would be an entry that we'd be looking to enter in. But for a pullback, I think we're already looking at Link for an additional pullback, TRX for additional pullback, Ethereum for additional pullback, and XRP we're already in, looking for another pullback, a validation for a new level of support, which we are looking like we are getting right now. So obviously working for the 1 hour candle to close, so we still have around 54 minutes, so we got a lot of time before that candle closure appears, but some of the alts are looking pretty good. Chainlink looks like it could be breaking out soon. We didn't really see that pullback we're looking for, but like we said before, we do have other alts within the market that we could see nice pullbacks that we could enter in. So that's analysis for Cardano. See a lot of pairs that look like this right now, so nothing crazy, but I like it quite a bit, so I'm going to put that at the top of the list so far. So the next one is going to be Ethereum Classic. Let's go back to the weekly chart like always and discuss the major levels of supply and demand. We've got a very, very strong level of resistance right there. That's going to be a nice, fresh, new level of demand. Key resistance right here. It's going to be a very, very wide chart or area on the chart. And then we see one that we're holding right around there. So let's refine those a little bit on the daily, because those are some very wide zones that we're working with, and I don't love working with wide zones. So we'll put our zone right down here for our first area, because it's a pretty easier area to identify on the daily, and then we'll split these up. So then we'll kind of take out the middle and then refine it in a way that makes it easier so we can catch from level to level, because that's 8%. That'd be a pretty good level that we were able to catch. So that's the daily. Seeing higher lows, which is good. We saw a massive amount of volatility, so that definitely is kind of going to get me out of the picture, because I don't love entering trades right after a massive shift to the upside and then downside. But we'll quickly talk about the market structure. I'm not really going to see anything that I love. We're just seeing huge pushes to the upside and then downside. I don't love looking at that. I don't love entering positions soon after that's occurred. So I'm going to just put this on the 4 hour. I'm going to just spectate and see what this comes out to. But for now, nothing that I want to be entering at this point in time for ETC. Next one will be Litecoin. So let's go back to the weekly chart and discuss what we're able to identify like always. So we see a strong level of resistance at this point right here. We see a nice new level of support. So we're right in within a zone, which is good to see. We see a nice level of resistance, and then we see the top zone right here going to act as a support. So we see nice structure within the market. Good to see for us traders. Now let's hop on the daily to discuss areas of little closer areas of support and resistance, and we just want to refine this area, although it looks pretty darn good on the daily chart. Yep, I'm pretty happy with that zone. So other than this top right here, I don't really want to go above this zone. I think I'm going to stick above this zone, and then we'll just kind of keep in mind that there could be a little bit higher of a zone at the $92 range. So we'll just stick with that. And then now we're looking for continuation patterns to our next area of supply, which is going to be $88 to $90. And then on the 4-hour chart, we see nice higher highs and higher lows. We could probably create a nice ascending trend line that connects the lows probably somewhere around here, maybe with the body of the candle. That will probably do. That nice trend line there. So that would be the outline of the uptrend basically, and then we'll create our structure within the uptrend. So we have horizontal zones of resistance and support, creating a nice market structure, resistance, and a new nice level of support. So overall, it looks pretty good. Looks like we're creating a nice lower high. We could see a descending zone here form. Let's just see how the market is currently structured. So basically, we're looking to see could be a descending zone, but we don't really have any anchor points. So I think I'm just going to put a horizontal zone at this point. So it's just going to be like here. And then we'll see what the market does. We have a ascending zone that I'm going to be putting in right here as well. And I'll put a pretty large projection because we have a very wide wick coming out of the pattern like so. And then what I'm going to do is just put this potential confluence zone here. So if we do see the price pull back after it breaks out, and then we have a nice area that we could depend off for a nice new fresh level of support. So until that break, we're not looking to enter. Looking at the volume, it's not great. We see a lot of sell pressure recently after the breakdown, forming a nice lower low from this low here. And then after that, we're not seeing a whole lot of buy pressure. We do see a little bit more buyers coming into the market after that breakdown from the previous amount within that consolidation previously, but overall not seeing a huge amount of buy pressure or buying accumulation happening. So LTC, just looking at volume, is not a great opportunity, although if we do break, we could see some fresh new buy volume coming into the market. So we don't want to count it as something that we don't want to be looking at, but like always, we want to make sure that there is as many indications of a potential move as we can have. So now let's go on to Stellar Lumens, or XLM. Like always, going to break it down to the daily and weekly. Got a nice zone right there, right below a mid-range zone, and then we got a nice, very strong level of resistance right around here. And then we got a nice structure low, I think I'm going to put right here. So we're just basically right below a structure low, or a mid-range zone, sorry. And then let's just refine these. So that's a good area for the top part, very, very well respected. We see two wicks just touching that area, and then this area, the top area, looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that, so we'll work with what we have. And then now let's go to the 4-hour within the actual price action. We see a nice little level of support get held. Nothing crazy, but that's a nice little level of support that we could look like we are holding, and then we were just basically consolidating sideways. We did see a descending zone hold the price, making lower highs like here. That was a pretty good zone, and once we broke it, we didn't really get any pullback levels of real injections of buy volume. We basically went straight up after that point, so I don't think I would have entered in that situation. But, oops, don't want that. There we go. So we are basically at the high, right below a structural mid-range zone. So I'm not loving the situation we're in on Stellar Lumens, or Stellar, yeah, for an entry. But we'll see what the market does. If it breaks up and holds this zone, it might look good. If it pulls back and potentially enters back in this range, if we do get a stronger pullback than we expect, then it could be a potential entry because it's a zone of confluence from the previous level of resistance, new level of support. But for now, just going to keep the TA on there. Nothing really that I'm loving at this point in time. ZEC is our next pair that we're going to be doing an analysis on. Let's continue. Going to key zone right here, very significant level on the chart, as well as right here. And then we also have that top resistance zone right here, as well as a potential mid-range zone right around here. Let's just put that there, and then at the candle closure area. So we got a nice structured, well-defined market. And let's just look and refine this a little bit. It looks very well refined. It looks really good. I'm happy with where the candles are. What I might do is, it's a pretty big zone actually. I think what I will do is just stick with what I had there. So right now we are at a pretty key resistance area. We've been forming higher highs and higher lows, but it's been slowing down. So that's a little bit of weakness in the chart. But overall, still looks pretty good, forming higher highs and higher lows. We'll see what the smaller term price action looks. We see immense R-vol coming in compared to basically the entire year of 2019. So that means that there's a lot more buyers and sellers coming into the market, which means there's a lot more transactions, which is great for us traders because that means there's more volatility coming into the market. Great for liquidity, great for extensions that we would not normally see on price action patterns. So overall, it's great for us in almost every aspect. So now let's look at how the market has been structured. So we've been seeing higher highs and higher lows, which is great, breaking of resistances, holding of supports. We are seeing volume accumulation, although within the consolidation, even though we are forming higher highs and higher lows, we are seeing more sellers in the market than buyers. That's probably because we are coming to the previous market structure right here. If we see a pullback, I'm not really loving the market structure we have on the 4-hour and hour chart, so not something that I love, but we do see a nice market structure here, but it's forming less of a powerful move to the upside, it looks like. So we saw a massive move here, and then we saw a pullback, very strong move, pullback, pretty strong move, pullback, or pullback, less strong move, pullback. So these pushes and pullbacks are getting less strong, which for me is not ideal to enter on. But overall, we have been forming higher highs, which is good, and higher lows, which is good as well. We just got to make sure that it doesn't form a top, because we could form a top right here, although it did break, and then we're forming less higher highs, but we are forming increasingly higher lows. So in terms of market structure, it looks like it's weakening a little bit, which is not awesome, but we'll see how the hour looks to see how the price action is looking. But looking at the hour, I don't love that rejection, massive rejection candle. On the 4-hour, it was a little less distinct, but on the hour chart, yeah, that's not a great rejection candle right there. So I personally am not in love with how this chart is how I'm seeing the chart right now on ZEX. So I'm personally not really going to be wanting to enter anything for the current pair. I'll just zoom it on the 4-hour. I see horizontal zone of support and resistance, so I'll keep it at that. Atom, I don't love I don't love this right now. We're just slowly grinding up, just seeing lots of volatility in the market. I'm not really loving the current situation. We're just seeing a lot of sideways action. We are forming a higher low situation, but we're kind of coming up to that resistance right there that we've kind of seen act as a key zone within the chart. So we'll form our areas within the chart, but I don't think we're really going to be diving in deep on this price action, because for me, it's not really something that I want to be trading at this point in time, because I don't really see it too clearly, and you never want to trade something that you don't see clearly. So those are the zones that I'm able to see, and I'll just leave it at that. And then ADA is the one that we're looking at. XLM's somewhat of a possibility. ETC is definitely not. So Atom definitely not. ZEC and not so much. XLM's possibility. So these are the three right there. So mainly we're still looking at the kind of more larger market cap alts there. Ethereum is a really good opportunity if it pulls back. Link's a good opportunity if it pulls back. XRP we're already in, and once that candle closes, I think we're definitely going to look to enter, because it's validating a new level of support as a previous level of resistance. And then once we get that second level and injection of buy volume coming in, that's also another confirmation that there's going to be demand within that market, and giving us even more of a probability that we're going to see some upside movement on XRP shortly. So now that two of them are done, we're going to go to kind of the obscure coins, the ones that have a little less liquidity, that is a little less known, that we could potentially see that are a little less correlated compared to BTC. And just quickly looking at BTC, we see that we formed a new high from our small little resistance zone right there. So that's great to see on the 1-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour, we still got around 42 minutes before this candle closes, so we couldn't really see it. We do have a very decent level of resistance right there with the candle closure that signified a lot of bearish pressure. Although we do see some bulls still present in the market, looking at the previous volume. So not going to discount us not seeing this as the support. We are entering on longs, but if it does hold this level of support and pull back, that could be the nice level of support that we could be looking for a solid entry. But then from this point to this point, we'll be looking for shorts. And I think Dash could be an opportunity. Looking at Dash right here, we see such a strong level of support right here, and it's basically squeezing in. If we do see the price start to break down at this zone, we could be looking for nice areas of confluence where we're holding areas of ascending resistance, which is this support right here, as well as a horizontal zone that we could be holding for an area of confluence. So we'll see how BTC acts. Right now we are still looking bullish. I am taking longs, but we'll see how it goes. So the last section we're going to be doing is going to be VET, which is VeChain, ONT, Ontology, MATIC Network, RVN, which is Ravencoin, and NEO. So we'll start off with VET, and then we'll work our way to our right. I'm going to periodically check the other alts within the market. We still have 41 minutes before the 1 hour candle closes, so we got a bunch of time. I don't see the price line on here. I guess it's on, but I guess it's on. Yeah, weird the price line is not showing. I think VET might be one of the ones that just doesn't work out randomly. I think we might just have to skip that one. Yeah, I think some of these just don't work. That's a little weird. But anyway, continuing on with the analysis. Also for people who are just entering, if you have a question, drop it in the comments below within the YouTube live, and I'll be sure to answer them. This is absolutely live. We're doing it right now. So if you have any questions about the services, about the company, about what we do, about our trading methods, about the market, about this current analysis, drop a comment and we'll be happy to answer that right away. So starting off with ONT, I don't see any comments, so we'll just continue onwards. We see a very, very long, wide zone. We'll probably refine that getting into the daily chart to really understand the two key zones that we have, probably around here and probably around here. But like always, we'll obviously want to ensure that we have both the daily and weekly to use to refine our areas, and then on the more market structure, we're looking at the 1 hour and hour, or sorry, the 4 hour and 1 hour for more market structure and smaller time frame stuff. And then we got a nice mid-range zone here that it looks like we just broke. So we got a good market structure. The price is holding nice clear zones horizontally. So now we can go in the daily chart, see if we can refine any zones here. Looks pretty good. I'm happy with where I've set the zones right now. Let's just look at this next market structure. So yeah, so I'm pretty happy with it. We'll just put the last area right here in case we do see the price go up a little bit higher. I'm going to put that up a little bit higher, and then we'll put that up. Pretty happy with that area right there. So we got nice market structure right here. Not going to, might put another mid-range zone because we do see that mid-range zone right here getting acted as both a support and resistance kind of all along the chart, especially that low right there. I'm going to put that right there, and this might be a little bit wider of a zone, but that is all right. So I'm going to leave that right there. So we got this zone to our next zone, which is around 20%. So we got a pretty solid move to capture if we are able to capture that consolidation up to the next move. And now we'll go to the 4 hour to see that actual consolidation. We're basically just going sideways, holding horizontal resistance and support. So we'll look at that on the 1 hour. Not a whole lot to talk about on the 4 hour. Looking at volume on the 4 hour, yeah, we see significant volume accumulation. We do see that there is more buy volume compared to sell volume within the consolidation as well, although there is significant sell volume within the consolidation. This was a very, very strong move. It makes sense that we do need a consolidation. Wow, that was just a straight shot up move. That was a great move. All right, now let's talk about the consolidation that we're currently seeing. Now we can basically break this out because we already know what the areas are going to be here, and then these are going to be the next zones. We might look in the 4 hour, but right now we're just going to talk about the possible entry that we could have within this consolidation. So we're at the high of the consolidation, and then this could be a little bit wider of a zone, kind of like so, because we can incorporate that wick into it, sort of like this. So that is our consolidation. Now we could draw a nice ascending support that connected the higher lows right here. We've retested and now we're pushing back up, kind of like a lot of our patterns. But it does look pretty strong. I think at this point we're just going to do what a lot of our other trades are. Wait for the break, enter at the break of the resistance, and when we confirm as a new level of support, that'd be great. And then we're looking to take profits at the first level of our supply zone, which is going to be right around here. And then maybe potentially take profits at our second level of supply zone, which is going to be right around here. And then we'll leave the rest as a dynamic take profit, seeing how far the price is able to go, making higher highs and higher lows. If it starts forming a market breakdown, seeing lower lows and lower highs, seeing more bearish volume coming into the market, seeing volume distribution, then we'll obviously switch our our bias, but as where the current market stands, obviously we're looking for longs because it looks very, very solid. So I'll put a brush here. That's not a brush. I'm looking for a brush. I think it's in this one. Looking for a brush, push to the upside, hold, and we're looking for a nice potential double bottom before our major move to the upside. So we'll just put that there. We'll look to enter somewhere around here where consolidation is. We're not really going to be looking until we see a nice consolidation move up above this zone, but I'll put that there because that's kind of what we want to see, and that's going to go at the top there. VeChain is not even working, so I'll put that at the very end. MATIC is our next pair that we're going to be going over. And just looking at the alts there. So MATIC, I really wish we entered. We had a few opportunities when it was holding above this zone. I was really looking at it. We were talking about it within the previous crypto market analysis, but we unfortunately could not get it. It was just these lows here. Well, we did enter once, and then the second low we couldn't enter. It took us out, although it's starting to go up at this point, which is a little unfortunate. It was this low right here, but it did make a move back up. So yeah, we'll see how the market goes at this point in time. So we'll talk about our entry, what we did, where we entered, and basically go over our two entries that we had within this pair. So yeah, it just barely stopped us out, hey? No, it was right here, and then now it's climbing back up. So we'll talk about our two entries right now. So this was the breakout zone right here. We entered, I believe the first one was right here. And then we had a stop loss below this zone or below this zone. And then we got stopped out at the break of this support right here. So we used that as a nice level of support. And once that broke, we took around 7%. So that was our first trade like so. And then we were hoping to get that top first take profit. I was so close to hitting that take profit. I think my stop or my take profit was like right here or something. It was very, very close, and it didn't hit it, unfortunately. So I got stopped out there because I raised my stop loss. And then my second trade was the pullback validating this zone right here. So once we saw the two injections of buy volume, I entered right here. And then my stop loss was below this zone, and then I got taken out, and then now the price is back where above the initial entry was for the second trade. So I got stopped out pretty quick on the second trade, and we haven't entered yet. And then at this point onwards, we've been seeing higher highs form in the market, so that's pretty good. So I just wanted to go over the two trades that we took on MATIC, and then now we see a potential resistance that's formed, which is a pretty good potential area that we can use to depend off of. We got two touches of this zone that does potentially make it a dependable zone. Once we get three touches, that creates a dependable area that we can use to risk off of. And let's put that at the candle closure right there, and then we'll use the projection zone like so to capture the rest of the market. So that's going to be the resistance that we want to see broken, and then we see a nice set of higher lows that we can hold to potentially form a ascending triangle like so, or a symmetrical triangle I should say, like so. So that will be the trend line that we're going to use, and let's just make it green, and then I will also put a projection on this as well, kind of going upwards like so. So then we have a bit of a zone that we're able to work with. So that's going to be our structure for MATIC. I'm definitely looking to enter. It looks like a very, very good possibility to at least hit this zone here. That would be a pretty good opportunity to get 12%. That would be great. And then if we're able to get higher, that's phenomenal. This pair definitely likes to have legs and really, really push up when it does. So what we'll be looking at this for a potential opportunity in the near future. So that's also going to be to our left. RVN and NEO is going to be our last two pairs we're going to be looking at. Let's continue on right here. So that's going to be the first level of resistance. That's now going to be our new level of support. Let's just look at it from the daily to see what we can identify. So yeah, basically just these two zones that we're going to be working with. Kind of thought so. And then we got a bit of a larger zone right here. So I'll just put a zone right there. So we just broken out of a zone. Basically, don't really have anything to work off of for a high. So we could use our fib retracements. So we'll go from here to here. So we got a swing low to a swing high, and then we'll look at the extensions extensions, and then we're going to put the candle closures as our area that we're going to be holding. So we got the 618 holding as a nice level of resistance. Don't really see a candle closure at that point yet, but then the 272 we see as a very nice level of resistance, very, very key, well-respected zone. And then once we broke above it, now we're forming our nice new consolidation zone potentially, which is going to be around this zone right here. So previous level of resistance, potentially new level of support. That's kind of all I need to know. And then that's how we use Fib extensions. So we're just consolidating at the zone, not really loving the structure of RVN. And then Neo, I'm not loving. Look how far, look at that drop. It's crazy. So let's just do Neo for the last one, just because we like to end it off strong. Strong levels. We'll just switch back to the weekly real quick so I can understand where the key levels are within the chart. So we got a strong level there. I think I did a duplicate. Don't need that. We're basically right in a mid-range zone, and we got a strong level of support right there. I can easily see. But we are basically right underneath a very, very respected zone within the chart. So we'll still look for longs, but with the price freshly broken out to a new high, I don't really see that there's a continuation pattern going to form here. We could look at this price action pattern similar to every other one, just looking for a nice pullback. But I think I'm just going to wait for other markets or other opportunities within the market. We could just look for that nice pullback like we've seen for a lot of alts there at that around $15 range. And then we are forming a nice higher low formation like we can see right here. So that's a nice little structure here that we could use for the price action, and I'll just extend that a little further. And that is the overall structure that we could use for Neo. We see a nice pullback, we see a nice zone of confluence there. You could just put that higher than RVN because it's a little bit better, and then VET is definitely not something that we're looking at because it just does not work at this very moment. So that's the overall structure of the market. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave a comment. And until next time, happy trading. If you have any questions about the actual price action, about what we do, about the Discord, about our community, about our services, anything like that, definitely let us know and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have. So until next time, happy trading, and hopefully you have a good weekend and a good start to the next week on Monday.